Welcome back to the Anfield Exchange, and this weekend Liverpool take on Preston in the first pre-season friendly of the season. It's going to be a game that is going to be marked in respect to Diogo Jota. It's going to be a respectful occasion. We've already seen that Preston have made plans they're all going to wear black armbands. They're going to have a minute silence before the game. Wreaths are going to be laid, and it's going to be an emotional occasion. But it's also going to be a fantastic occasion as well. And credit to Preston. Preston are a great football club. I was born half an hour away from Preston, and they've always done things the right way. And they've got a great history as well. Great football club of Preston, and I think we couldn't be playing a more perfect opponent in this weekend's fixture. But for a lot of players, and look, it's a sad time, but eventually the world doesn't stop spinning, and you've got to move on, and you've got to get to a point where normal service is resumed. And for a lot of football fans, especially Liverpool fans, it's not easy to do that. I had plans to start re-uploading again last week. It came down to it, and I sort of sat in front of my laptop and sat in front of my computer, and it didn't feel right. But we have to get back to normality, and I think that's got to be the message to the players as well, to all the staff that knew Diogo, but also go and do it for him. We don't know what's ahead in the next 12 months, but I think the Liverpool players would want to go and win some silverware for Diogo and in his memory as well, and I think that's the main thing that Liverpool will be looking to do next year. It's going to be an odd season. It's going to be tough to take, because there's going to be things around that sort of just remind you of Diogo and remind you of his presence. And obviously he's no longer going to be there. And I think it's not just the players. We have to realise as well. It's the staff as well. These guys spend a lot of time with the players, and they form relationships, and there's going to be a lot of people within Liverpool that are hurting, and yeah, this is the first step tomorrow towards, I don't want to say moving on, because that doesn't feel right, and we're not moving on from Diogo. His legacy he will forever be 20. But tomorrow is the start of normal service resumed, and yeah, just getting back to it. And look, it is soon. It is tough to get your head around, but it's going to happen one way or another. In 4 weeks' time, we will be playing Premier League football again, and we're going to be in a situation where we need to go and win these games for Diogo. In terms of the game itself, I think there's going to be a lot of interest in this game. It's been broadcast live on TV. I'm interested to see the tactical sort of view on this, because Liverpool have made some good signings this year, but there's been a lot of questions asked about Arne Slot and his team about how we're going to play football, and what the tactical side of things will be. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how the new signings work and how they fit into the squad. The first one I'd sort of be looking at is Jeremy Frimpong, because look, we've just had Trent Alexander-Arnold, and we saw, I think, Arne Slot in the last year or so, he reduced Trent Alexander-Arnold's forward movements than they were under Jurgen Klopp, and he asked him to play more as a deep line playmaker, I would say. And he did a great job of that, did Trent. But obviously Frimpong is very different to Trent, and Frimpong's first thought is to get forward. So there's going to be a lot to sort of look at and see how that works with a more attacking fullback. It might be that we see Conor Bradley start tomorrow, just because obviously Frimpong's only been into training for a week now. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the right back situation's going to line up, and that impacts other positions as well. So Ryan Gravenberch, how's his role going to play? Because obviously we've brought Kirkes in on the left hand side, who is also, he's like a young Andy Robertson. He's also a player that likes to get forward as well as Frimpong. We saw it with Jurgen Klopp when Trent and Robbo were both going forward and we were conceding a lot of goals. We left two at the back. Does this impact Gravenberch? Will Gravenberch be looking now to fill in as a free at the back when Liverpool have those two bombing forward? We don't know. Time will obviously tell. I think these friendlies that will be upcoming will be a chance for Liverpool to try new things as well and to try and work out. Obviously, Arne Slot's going to have a plan, but it's going to be the first time that we get to see those plans putting into place. So yeah, interesting to see how Frimpong does and what his role will be. It's going to be interesting to see how Frimpong's role will impact Gravenberch and Kerkez as well. How Kerkez's role will do that. Obviously, we've made a big statement signing in Florian Wirtz. How's that going to fit in with Szoboszlai? Szoboszlai was our sort of number 10 last year. I think everybody's expecting Florian Wirtz to take that position. Where does that leave Szoboszlai? Does he drop deeper? Will he be sort of pinging passes around like we saw towards the end of last season? I think it was against Brighton where he actually played really well and he got on the score sheet as well. Will Szoboszlai be coming a little bit deeper? Will Szoboszlai and Wirtz be rotating? Could Wirtz possibly go out onto the left? A lot of people have speculated on that. Will he play as a false nine? So there's a lot of questions that need answering in these friendlies, and I think these friendlies are the perfect opportunity to go out and answer those questions and see how it all works when it's all put together. Like I say, it's going to be our first opportunity to see that. And obviously, we've got a conversation to be had about a striker position. It looks like Nunes is going to be out the door shortly. Napoli probably is the destination. Obviously, that leaves us short in the striker position. Jadon Danns, will he have a role to play in the upcoming season? I actually think Jadon Danns is going to get quite a lot of game time over the next couple of friendlies, just to see where his levels are. Obviously, interestingly, he was due to go on loan to Sunderland last year in the Championship. That sort of fell through because of injury. It's going to be a case of getting him up to fitness and seeing if he can play a part. I would expect him to be loaned out again this season, if I'm honest. But if you do that, then you're leaving yourself very short in the striker position, especially if Luis Diaz goes and Nunes goes. We're short for numbers up there. Chiesa as well. Chiesa's one that's probably going to go. I'd like to see him in pre-season. I just don't think we're going to see too much of him, and I think he'll be out of the club sooner rather than later. In terms of these pre-season friendlies, look, we see it every year. It was the same last year. We get to see some of the young lads and what they're capable of. I think that's a good thing as well, because we've got some good young talents. Trey Neone played a part last year. Made 5 appearances for Liverpool in the previous season. He'll be looking to make more of an impact this year and potentially get some more first team appearances. And I think he's one of those. He's highly rated at Liverpool. He's one of those that we're expecting big things of him in the future. Now, whether he can come up and produce, one thing I would say is he seems a little bit. He needs to bulk up a little bit. He's very sort of. Look, he's 18, 19 years old. He's still got time on his side, but I think we want to see more of Trey Neone and that he can compete at the higher level and in a competitive Premier League football. I have no doubts that he will be able to going forward. We just need to see if we can get him to that position. Other players, James McConnell. I think there were a lot of players praised last year for James McConnell. Arne Slot's come out and said that he likes James McConnell. Will McConnell go out on loan? I think probably, just because of the options we now have in midfield. I think we've got some numbers in midfield, and it'll be interesting to see who, if any of those players leave the club this summer. But McConnell, I think it would be nice to see him get some pre-season minutes as well. But I do think he's going to end up on loan as well. There's other players as well, like Stefan Bajcetic. I don't think he's going to feature this weekend because we've got... he's just come back from injury. He's been on loan to Las Palmas. He's out of an operation and he needs to recover. But I do think potentially we might see Stefan Bajcetic play a part this year. But again, we'll just have to wait and see. Nalo made an appearance last year, as you all remember, against PSV. We are looking short at centre-back. It looks like the deal for Guehi may not be going ahead. We don't know what's happening with Konate yet. Gomez, obviously, injury concerns. So potentially we might see Nalo in pre-season and see what he can offer us. See if he can make the step up and potentially become our fourth choice centre-back for the season. Again, interesting to see that. We've touched on Jadon Dans. And I'd quite like to see, look, we are stacked in the goalkeeper position. I don't think we're going to see Alisson against Preston. Will we see Mohamed Ashford? I'd quite like to, but obviously it's interesting what's going to happen with Mohamed Ashford this year, because I don't think he's going to be first choice. I think they're earmarking him as Alisson's replacement. So we've just lost Kelleher. We're effectively saying that Mohamed Ashford needs to be another Kelleher, which for a year is fine. I think we let Alisson go next year and Mohamed Ashford. So I don't think there's too much that we'd really gain from this friendly with Mohamed Ashford. I would expect us to be on the front foot and have most of the ball. I think from what I've seen from Mohamed Ashford, I think his passing needs to be better. We live in this day and age where goalkeepers need to be able to pass the ball first and foremost. Mohamed Ashford is a very good shot stopper, but on the ball he's not the greatest. So again, interesting to see how that pans out. Maybe we'll get to see Armin Pexi, the new signing in the summer. Maybe it'll be Woodman that starts and just give him sort of a little bit of a run out. But yeah, interesting to see what we do in the goalkeeper position as well. Obviously, we've got a lot of rumours, and it's sort of died down in the last week with everything that's happened. But we've got a lot of rumours that are sort of circulating in social media. Luis Diaz potentially leaving for Bayern Munich, Barcelona. Nunez looks like he's going to Napoli. Harvey Elliott, what's going to happen with him? Obviously, that's died down a little bit, but it looks like Harvey Elliott might be on his way out of the club as well. And obviously, Fede Chiesa. So what sort of role will they play in this pre-season as well? Because if Liverpool have already made the decision that they want these guys to leave and they can recoup some money in for those guys, then I can't see them playing such a big part in pre-season. Luis Diaz is probably the most interesting one. I think he's made it very clear that he wants to either be offered a new contract, which looks unlikely, or he wants to leave the club. Again, we'll have to see how the club react to that. But do I expect to see him in these pre-season friendlies if it's likely that he's going to be leaving the club? No, I wouldn't expect that, but also Liverpool have said they are more than willing to let him run his contract down and keep Luis Diaz for the next 2 years. So if they are sticking with that stance, then potentially we will see Luis Diaz involved in pre-season as well. What I will say is pre-season is not the finished article. Pre-season is about getting these guys' fitnesses up. We've all been on holiday. They're all going to be in need of getting Premier League ready. There's no doubt. So what we might potentially see again is, look, I remember when Andy Robertson played at centre-back versus PSV last season, and look, it was a dead rubber game, but Andy Robertson, he did a job. I think what you might see is players potentially playing out of position as well slightly, just to get minutes into the legs of these players. So don't be surprised if you see Andy Robertson turn up at left back, or if you see Szoboszlai playing out on the right wing. It's the most important thing with pre-season friendlies is getting minutes into the players and getting them ready for Premier League football, and you can only do that by getting the guys on the pitch. So that is another possibility that we might see some players played out of position, but I would like to think that Arne Slot, with the players that he's brought in, he needs to see how these guys play together and he'll have an idea in his head of what the system will be, but he needs to see it on paper, in action, and see how it sort of pans out and where we can improve and what works well. So yeah, obviously I know there's a lot of people that don't really get involved in pre-season friendlies. I like to watch them. I watched them all last year. I watch them when I can every year because I like to see how the ideas are coming through and how they're working, and how far off being ready for the first game of the season we are. So I will be watching this game this weekend. I know there's a lot of you out there that won't and will feel like it's too soon. I think ultimately it was the decision of the players and the staff around Liverpool, and they thought that it would be the best thing for them to play to try and get some normality, I would assume. But out of respect to Diogo and obviously his brother Andre, I'm not gonna do a score prediction like I normally would on this game. I think the score is the least important thing in this on this weekend's fixture. It is about paying respects, and it is about Diogo and Andre and sort of going out there and just giving the respect that this game deserves, and obviously the fitness element of it as well. It's I think it would be wrong for me to go out there and try and predict the score, but you guys are more than welcome to. But yeah, it's all about Diogo really this weekend, and it's tough. It's tough. It's going to be a tough watch. We know that it's going to be a very tough watch. But hopefully we can go out there and we can do Diogo and Andre proud and the family proud, and yeah, just try to keep going and do it for him, and try to keep his memory alive, and try to give everything we've got, because that's what Diogo used to do. He used to give everything he had, and yeah, we've just got to go and do it out there for him. So yeah, let me know what you think in the video. Let me know what you think of the video. Get involved in the comments. Let me know what you're most looking forward to, and how you think the sort of tactical side of things will develop, and what youngsters you'd like to see as well. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.